Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session of calling and meetings in Microsoft Teams. Again, thank you for joining us. We will allow just another minute or so to allow anyone that would like to join the opportunity to do so. So we'll be back in just a few moments to get started. Thank you. All righty, I see that our attendance numbers climbed up a little bit. So with that, we'll just go ahead and get started and dive into today's content. So again, welcome and good morning to calling and meetings in Microsoft Teams training. My name is Jamila, and I'm a trainer with Microsoft. And today, with me as my lovely moderator, I have Brittany, who is also a trainer for Microsoft. As my moderator, she will be interacting with you through the Q&A to respond to any questions that you may have and to bring any attention to anything that I need to show again or demonstrate again for you should you have the desire for me to do so. Just to talk, just to quickly bring your attention to some of the meeting controls that you have available to you. You have the play or pause event button here. So for any reason you need to step away from your computer, you can come back and select the play button and it will resume the training where you left off. Okay. If you need to adjust your volume controls to increase or decrease the volume settings, you can do that here. You have the ability to also turn on or off closed captions. And then you have the ability to expand your screen to full screen. Because we are in a Microsoft Teams live event, your cameras are disabled and your microphone has been disabled as well. So the best way to communicate with Brittany and I will be utilizing the Q&A feature. So you can go ahead and use the text box to ask a question. You can do that with your name, which is optional, or you also have the ability to type in a question anonymously. But we'll keep an eye on that Q&A, and so that will be our primary way of communication with you during today's training. Right. So Microsoft Teams offers the ultimate flexibility for meetings and calling. So with Microsoft Teams calling and meetings, you're able to host meetings from anywhere, anytime with anyone. So making calls and managing contacts and checking your voicemail, these are all tasks that you can do right from Microsoft Teams. So in today's session, we will focus on learning the mechanics of using Teams meetings and calling features. And we'll go over the complete life cycle of a meeting. So you'll understand how to utilize Teams to best execute a full meeting life cycle experience, right? So with that being said, let's go into our exact training objectives for today. We will experience the Teams meeting lifecycle. We will learn to join, schedule, and collaborate in meetings. We will learn to set up call settings and make calls. Okay. So virtually, you can connect one-on-one, you can lead a team training, or you can host an interactive webinar for up to 1,000 attendees. With Microsoft Teams, you can engage your audience, review notes, see live reactions, and transition between presenters. So it makes meetings feel as though you're all in one room together. So even though we are some of us are working in a hybrid work environment, Microsoft Teams makes us feel like that we are connecting naturally. So Microsoft Teams offers a cloud-based phone system with advanced features including call transfer, hold, and consult, and any transfer options. You can call from anywhere on any device through the Microsoft Teams app on desktop, mobile, and the web. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and switch to our live demonstration for today. But before I do that, I just want to get a pulse on how often you are collaborating with your teams utilizing calling and meeting features. So if you use calling and meetings frequently, um, give me on a scale from 0 to 5, meaning 5, you use it frequently, and 0, you're new or novice. You're a beginner and you don't mind me going over all of the little bitty details for beginners. So I just want to make sure I am addressing the levels of my audience, appropriately. So let me know on a scale of 0 to 5, how comfortable are you with callings and meetings in Microsoft Teams? And Brittany, can you just confirm that you can see my screen okay?
Yes, ma'am, your screen is showing good. And we haven't had anyone to, okay, they're starting to chime in now. We've got a 1.
Okay.
And don't be scared to put your comfortability in the in the
Yes.
Q&A for us. So we'll let one
That,
person to chime in. So
but that's okay. So I'm going to go over everything, and I'm hoping if you have any questions, please, please, please feel free to just type in your questions in the Q&A, and Brittany will answer them, or I can showcase something that I've demonstrated if I need to over again. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to access Microsoft Teams via the web. So all I do here is open up a web browser. And when I do that, I type in office.com. And when I do that, I'm already logged in with my credentials as indicated by my profile picture here. So if you're not logged in, take a moment to go ahead and log in if you are wanting to follow along with me during this demonstration. But we're going to start at the office.com landing page. Now, once you're officially logged in, you're going to come over to this left panel of left rail menu, and we're going to select Microsoft Teams. And that's where we're going to begin our demonstration. Just let it load here. All right. So Microsoft Teams offers many ways to connect and collaborate. So the two main methods that we will be focused on during today's training are meetings and calls. So we're going to start with what meetings and calls look like as it relates to the chat. So if you come over to the left rail, we are in the Microsoft Teams application. So we're going to start here in the left rail with the application of chat. So what exactly is Microsoft Chat within Microsoft Teams? So the chat, if you're not already using it, it's a quick way to have one-on-one conversations or even group conversations with any of your team members. The conversations in chat are personal. So unless you invite someone into your group chat, they do not have visibility on what you are discussing. However, when we talk about teams and channels, this is your collaboration space for groups of people. So when you post things here, everyone has visibility. So think of chat as like a sidebar conversation that you can have with your colleagues, that you may not necessarily want everyone in your entire team to have visibility to. So we're in chat now. So as you can see in this left menu, I have all of the chats that I'm a part of. So I have my pinned chats, which are my most urgent chats, and then I have recent chats here. All right. So I'm going to go into a recent chat here that I have with Darius. And what I like about chat too is that although I am now another day out with communicating with Darius, I can actually go back and I can see all of our history. So the chat history is persistent. So that is another benefit of communicating with colleagues in your chat, because that chat history allows you to pick up your conversation right where you left off. So my last conversation with Darius was yesterday morning. So if I want to pick up and continue that conversation, I can do that here. But we're talking about meetings and calls in this space. So how can I, let's say, change the way that we are collaborating? Maybe I'm having a conversation with Darius about a new project and more detail is needed. And it's really too much information to relay in chat. And I want to transition from chat to an in the moment video or audio call. So in order to do that, I will come right to the top and I have two options here. And these options will let me have an ad hoc meeting. When I say ad hoc, I mean in the moment, on the spot, on demand meeting that's not scheduled. So again, if I'm having a conversation with Darius, the chat isn't working, it's too much detail, I can come right up here and I can either start a video call or an audio call. Now, if I prefer to schedule a meeting, let's say I don't want to have an ad hoc meeting, I don't want to meet right now in the moment, but I would like to schedule a meeting. You don't even have to leave the chat screen to do that. You can come right down to your message extensions, and there's an option here with the little calendar to schedule a meeting. So if I say, hello, Darius, we need to discuss the project in great detail. So I will arrange a meeting. So I'm going to send him a message, send a paper airplane to let him know that I want to send a meeting. Or I can, let's say, go back in here, edit the meeting, come back down to my message extensions and click the, I don't have to, let's say I sent the message and I want like, oh no, I didn't schedule the meeting. I can go back in and edit, or I can create another meeting, schedule a meeting from just going down here. But I'm going to go ahead and click on the scheduling option. And what happens is it would populate your meeting details screen. So this is where you would go ahead and begin entering the details for your meeting. So I'm going to give it a title. So project management. It's already brought in who I want to have a meeting with, because it knows from the chat who was already a part of that group or that chat conversation. So I already brought in Darius. Now, if I keep it at the designated time of 11:30 to 12, I can see Darius is free. But let's say Darius was not free. Let's say I changed the time and for some reason it shows him as being busy. I can go up to the scheduling assistant here. So there again is no need to leave this application to go and send an email and say, hey, Darius, when are you available? A lot of times when we're trying to coordinate meetings, we have back and forth emails trying to figure out a time that works. But with Microsoft Teams, one of the features when scheduling a meeting is having the scheduling assistant. So it gives me visibility into all of my required attendees' schedules. So let's say, like right now, I can see if I leave it here, both Darius and I are unavailable. But if I drag this bar to an empty space on my calendar, it's now changing our status to available. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule this meeting for 1 p.m. And that shows me that we are both available at that time. So I can go ahead and send it from here, or I can continue with my meeting details, which I want to do. So I'm under scheduling assistant because as indicated by this blue line here, but I want to go back to details. So now I'm back to details as indicated by this blue line. So it brought over the time that I selected from 1 to 1:30 today. I have the option of making this a recurring meeting. If I choose, I can set this meeting to occur every weekday, daily, weekly, monthly, so on and so forth. I can add a location. I can designate whether this is a virtual meeting or if we're meeting in a conference room. And then I can give some additional details or insight as to what this meeting will be about. We will review timelines and action items. All right. Now I am ready to send. So I'll go ahead and click send. And now it has gone ahead and created a schedule meeting. So if I go to my calendar and I go to today, there is my meeting. So I did all of that without even leaving the Teams application. I was able to go into my chat, have a conversation with Darius, realize that we need to jump into a scheduled meeting. I've scheduled that meeting using my message extensions, but if I needed to jump on a quick call, whether video or audio, I can do that as well. So any questions on how within the chat application of Microsoft Teams, you can progress from a chat to a scheduled meeting or an ad hoc meeting? Any questions on that?
So far, no questions, Jamila.
Awesome. All right, so now we're going to move from chat and we're going to move into Teams and channels. So as I was mentioning earlier, Teams and channels is your collaboration space. So within your organization, you might be a part of many different teams and channels. So as you can see here, I'm a part of the Mark 11 project team. I'm a part of the Company Z team. I'm a part of the design team. I'm a part of the Contoso marketing group. And if I open up these teams, I can see what we have as far as channels go. So every team is made up of channels. So when you first create a team, it automatically generically defaults to having a general channel. And your general channel is good for things like announcements, just general communication. But then your team owner can create additional channels related to some of the collaboration spaces that your company may need. So in this particular case, my Mark 11 project team needs a channel for announcements, we need a channel for planning, and we need a channel for resources. So so just take a look to see, all of the teams and channels that you are a part of. So that's just a brief overview of teams and channels before I dive into the actual content. So just like just like chat, I'm going to go to the general channel. We have, instead of chat history or able to communicate in chat, when we're in teams and channels, what we have are called posts. So it's different. So when you're in a team in channel space, you can either make a post or an announcement. All right, so as you can see here, I have some posts here, and it also will give you the history, just like the chat history. So let me go to the planning team so you can see more of the history. So this goes back to December 8th. Let me go to a different channel. So for my December fundraising, you can see it always remains. So the post history is persistent too. It always remains there for you to just pick up where you left off. But for the purposes of this training, we're talking about meetings and calls. So let's say, again, I am having a conversation with my team. Let me go to a team with more people. So I'm going to go back to my Mark 811 project. I'm in the planning channel. And I want this to progress from post to an actual in the moment meeting. So what I can do is I can create an ad hoc meeting from the channel. So when you go to the top and select Meet, there's a drop-down menu. So you have the option of Meeting Now or scheduling a meeting. So unlike chat, it's not in the message extensions to actually schedule a meeting or to do an ad hoc meeting. It's all in the same menu option at the top. So if you decide to meet now, just know it will go ahead and continue to call anyone in the meeting until they answer the phone. So once you're in the meeting, you can begin having people to join. So I'm going to go ahead and showcase or demonstrate for you what the Meet Now looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and click Meet Now. And when I do that, it brings me to my pre-meeting call screen where I have the option to give my meeting a title. So I'm going to call this Project A meeting. I also have the option to adjust my audio and video. I have my video and audio options here as well. So I can enable my camera here. I can enable my microphone. I can choose what sound I want to share. So this is all the information that you could tell to your teams to how you want to format or structure your call. So I'm okay with having my camera turned off, and I'm okay with having my microphone muted for now. Because of the demo tenant that I'm in, it will block it anyway, but I could cut my camera on and that will enable my filters should I choose. But I'm going to go ahead and click join. And when I do that, I have the option to copy the meeting link. I don't know if you saw, but it went away. I can copy the meeting link, or I can go to people and it brings up everyone who's on this team. And I actually can go ahead and request for them to join if I want to. All right. So and when I do that, it will go ahead and try to call them into the meeting. All right. I also have the ability to schedule a meeting, and then it brings me back to that meeting creation screen. So the one difference from scheduling a meeting from Teams and channels, it doesn't bring in require attendees, it brings in the entire channel. So you can add additional people should you choose, but it's automatically going to default to bring in anybody who's in the channel. All right. And you can add channels too as well if you want to this meeting by selecting on the team, and then it will open up the menu to select channels. So it's already again defaulted, so we'll leave it as that, and then you can type meeting details. So let me call this Project A meeting, and I'll leave it for that time and click send. And now, as you can see, a notification appears in our post feed that I have scheduled a meeting. All right. So that's one way, or a couple ways to have a meeting in Teams and channels. If you need to progress from posts, you can go ahead again and do an ad hoc meeting or schedule a meeting. Any questions about ad hoc and scheduling meetings from the Teams and channel space?
No questions, Jamila.
All right. Okay. So now that we've talked about how to progress from an ad hoc meeting or a scheduled meeting in chat, we've talked about how to progress from a from a post to a scheduled meeting or ad hoc meeting in Teams and channels. Now we're going to move to the calendar. So in the calendar, you can do the same thing. If you go up to the top, you have the Meet Now option. And when you click on that, you can give your meeting a title. It's going to default with Meeting with Jamila P. I can get a link to share the meeting out. So it will generate a link for me to copy and paste. It's taking a moment to load. And I can copy it by clicking this. It will go ahead and copy it to my clipboard, or I can share via email, and then it will open up my Outlook. So that's one way. Or I can go ahead and start the meeting. So if I click start meeting, it will do the same thing. It will put me into the pre-meeting call screen where I can decide what my audio and my camera settings will be. And then I can go ahead and click join and it will do the same thing. Click join now. It will let me copy the meeting link from here as well. And I can add participants and from this screen here. So from the people screen, I can go ahead and start typing in names. I want to look for Mashara. Then I can click request for her to join. All right, so I'm going to leave this for now. So another reason that you might want to use Meet Now is not for a meeting purpose, actually. Sometimes you can actually start a meeting, and I'm going to show you this. And let's say I want to record a training video for my team. So I'm going to click join now. I can actually use this feature to record any live demonstrations, any training sessions that I want to push out to the team. So what I would do is go to more and select start recording. When I do that, it will begin recording everything that I'm saying, anything that I share as far as my screen. I can share PowerPoint presentations, Excel workbooks. I can browse my OneDrive. I can start collaborating on a whiteboard. But this is a really great tool if you're not really the Meet Now, if you're not wanting to actually meet, but you actually just want to record some content to share out with your colleagues or your staff. So use it for that purpose as well. Then what you would do is once you complete, let's say I've gone through the whole spiel, I wanted to present on the project timelines, I've recorded myself presenting with the PowerPoint, I'm going to go ahead and click stop recording. Stop. And it's going to save my recording. I'm going to go ahead and leave. Now I want to find that recording because I want to share it out. So if I go to my chat and I go to my recent, there's my recording. The meeting name will appear. Anybody who was in the meeting, attendance report will appear here too. It'll tell you how many people appear, how long the meeting was, any meeting notes that was taken during the meeting. And then if I click on these ellipses here, this is where I have the option to open the recording. I can get the link, and this is where I would get the link and I will be able to copy it and share it out. So that's just a cool tip and trick that you can do. You know, the Meet Now is great for, like I said, ad hoc meetings, but use that feature too if you wanted to record yourself and share any content with your colleagues. All right. Now, let's talk about scheduling the meeting. So let's go back to the calendar for a moment and talk about some of the options that we have available here. So I'm going to go back into that meeting I created earlier with Darius. I'm going to double click on it to show you once I create a meeting, what things I can do with the meeting. All right. So now that I'm in the meeting and I have all of my information here, the one thing that I didn't have before are the actual meeting details. So the meeting invite information appears here. So now I have the link, I have the meeting ID and passcode, and I have the call-in information that did not appear initially. So once you create a meeting and you go back into it, this information then appears and you can cut and paste and share as you see fit. All right. Also, I have the some tab lines here at the top, and we're going to go through what these tab lines are. So the first is the chat tab line. So if I choose, I can go ahead and start collaborating with Darius prior to the meeting beginning. So I'm going to say, hello, Darius. Please come prepared with your Q2 report. All right. So let's talk about some of my message extensions here. So I can, this looks very similar to what we have in a lot of the other Microsoft applications such as Word and PowerPoint, but all of your formatting tools are here. So I can bold or italicize, create bulleted lists and links. I can also decide the priority of this message. Sending the message is standard. The message will be sent as usual. I can mark the message as important, and I can mark the message as urgent. And when I do that, it will notify your recipient every 2 minutes for the next 20 minutes. So I would use that particular setting for really urgent emergencies because you don't want to irritate or agitate your colleagues, but you do have the ability to mark a message urgent. I'm going to leave it as standard for now. You also have the ability to attach files. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a file from OneDrive. I'm going to attach meeting notes from our last meeting. Click share. And when I do that, it opens up some of the sharing permissions that I can have with this document. So if I click on the down caret here, I can actually tell Teams who I want to have access and how much access I want them to have. So you can select anyone with the link, anyone in your organization, people who are currently in this chat group, people with existing access, or you can designate specific people. I'm going to leave it at the defaulted people currently in this chat. I can also decide how they can engage with this document. Do I want anybody in this group to be able to make edits? Just review, which means they can only suggest changes, or view where they can't make any changes. I'm going to leave it as edit because we will collaborate. I'm going to hit apply. And then I'm going to hit send. So now I want to be efficient with my meetings, and I can go ahead and be proactive by having Darius review my meeting notes prior to the meeting beginning. Now, where do you access these notes or files that I've uploaded? So the next tab in the tab line is files. So anything uploaded in a chat message will appear in files. So I can go to any of my chats. So I'm going to go to my chats. So you can just see the different files that have been uploaded. So nothing for this chat. Nothing here. Let's see. Let's go to Project X and see if there are any files there. Now, so I have quite a few chats with no files, but if you wanted to, there's one, some meeting notes that was shared. So the tab line in your chat will help you to access files. So automatically defaults with the chat and files for every chat. So that you should be able to locate. When you're in the Teams and channel space, it automatically defaults with having posts and files. Any other tab lines have been customized for this particular work group collaboration. So if you're interested in how to customize your tab line to make your work group collaboration more efficient, that's a different training. So I'll encourage you to register for maybe a go further with Microsoft Teams meetings. And that's when we get into that content. But for the sake of meetings and calls, I want to stick with the defaulted post and files. So post, again, will show you the history of the conversation, and files will show any files that have been collaborated on. Now, the difference between chat and Teams and channels is Teams and channels is built on SharePoint. So any files that you upload will have, everybody will have the ability to see them. So there's no need to adjust the sharing permissions, because if you upload it to SharePoint, everyone on the team has visibility. Whereas in chat, this is built on OneDrive. So OneDrive is your personal cloud storage space. So you own all of the files, and you have the right to tell Teams who can look at your files and what they can do. Whereas in SharePoint, because Teams and channels is assumed a collaboration space, everyone has visibility, so you don't have the option to decide who can look at something and who can't. So just be conscious of what files you have and where you want to share them to. So let's say Darius and I are on the planning team, but we have to collaborate on something that we don't want the entire team to just see quite yet. That's when I will come over and use chat, go to my conversation with Darius and share files here, because this is what I want us to look at before releasing it to the entire group. Then once we've decided it's all good to go, then I will come over to Teams and Channels and upload my files. Upload my files from my computer or my OneDrive. Okay. I also have the ability to create folders. I can open up Word documents, Excel documents. All of my applications are here. I can sync files. I can download files. All of that information is here. All right. So going back to the chat here. So again, I have the files uploaded between, I'm sorry, this chat. The files all ready to go because I want them to review the meeting notes prior. So I'm going back to the calendar and finish talking through the tab line. So some other things I want to bring your attention to are the meeting options here. So when I click on meeting options, I have some additional settings. So this is where I can decide how my meeting flow or regulate my meeting flow. So who can bypass the lobby when I first have a meeting? You know, whether I want to switch the toggle to allow all my callers to bypass. I can have it where it's announced when callers leave and join. I can choose co-organizers who can present. I can decide if I want to allow the mic and camera for my attendees or if I want to disable them. I can set it up to record automatically. I can allow the meeting chat, or if I feel like it'll be a distraction, I can disable the meeting chat. I can disable reactions, enable the Q&A, so on and so forth, okay? So those 3 ellipses will give you access to additional meeting options. Right. Now I'm going to go ahead and click join because I've shared the file out. Now I want to join. So that's pre-meeting things. Now, if you're in the meeting and you now want to change some of those settings that we just took a look at, you will go to the more here and you will click on meeting info. I'm sorry, not meeting info. Where is it? Device settings. No, where is it? Hold on a second. Because those same options should come up here. Am I missing it, Brittany? Do you see it? Why is it?
It might be under.
You're supposed to be able to see those same meeting options, like if you're in the meeting.
It should.
Maybe
The meeting details.
maybe because I'm in the web version, it's not going to show.
Yeah, it might be that because you're in the web version.
But if you are on the desktop version, clicking this more will give you access to those same menu settings where you can turn on and off those same options like the lobby, so on and so forth. Let me see, device audio. Okay, it's not going to work for me. But so explore your more once you're actually in the meeting. I'm going to go ahead and click leave. But you can do those same, manage the same meeting settings during the meeting as well. Yeah, something's going on with my computer. I think it's frozen. Let me stop sharing and reshare. Is my screen? It's frozen. Can you see that? Let me close this out and try that again.
Yeah, if you're moving your mouse, it's not moving on my end.
Yeah, I'm having some technical difficulties. I apologize. Okay, so I'm back into my calendar. Can you see it?
No, it's still showing your previous screen.
Okay, so let me stop sharing and let me reshare. Can you see my calendar now?
Yeah, we're in the calendar now. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe something's going on with the computer. But if you go into the meeting, the more options should give you the same settings as the more meeting options here. Those same meeting options should appear. So you don't only have to have the ability to change these settings prior to the meeting, you have the ability to set them up during the meeting as well. Now, let's go back to the calendar. So I just want to talk about the view of this calendar. So the calendar has this red line, which indicates the current date and time. Okay. So it automatically tells you, where you are in your calendar. It automatically defaults to the week that you're in, but you can click on the arrows and you can move back and forth on your meeting calendar to see upcoming weeks. You can also go to the option for months and go through future months too and pull up that calendar. So let's say I want to go to February 1st, 2023, the week of, it will go ahead and generate. But let's say you don't want a work week view. You come over here, click the drop down menu caret, and then you can select just to see a day. You can keep it at the entire work week or the entire week, which will give you visibility from Sunday to Saturday. So I'm going to keep it on work week. Right. Any questions on anything that I've shown so far?
And currently, no questions in the Q&A, Jamila.
Okay, awesome. So now, once the meeting is over, I have the ability to go back into, let me go show you. Let me go back into this meeting. And then it will show you that the meeting has ended. Again, we talked about files and then attendance reports. So attendance reports will show in the chat as well. So once you're finished or the meeting has concluded, and any attendance or recordings that you have taken during the meeting will appear in the chat. So you just go find the chat and then you can go ahead and download those attendance reports or again, get the links to any recordings. Now, let's say I plan to continue collaborating within this chat. If I want, I can go ahead and pin this chat as well. So right now I only have 4 pinned chats, but I know that I've been working in these last 2 meetings. I can go ahead and click pin. And I can also drag and drop these in whatever order I would like. All right, once it's up here. If I just like I pin, I can unpin and it will move the conversation back down to recent. All right. So going back to the calendar. So we talked about the meet now and we've talked about scheduling a new meeting. But if you click on the drop down menu, not only do you have the ability to schedule a new meeting, you actually have the ability to schedule a webinar. And your webinars is designed for large organized platforms. So usually where there's a main speaker and audience interaction. And I would say the key difference between webinars and Teams meetings is that webinars really support a robust registration system. So you can require your participants to register and you can manage the registration. We also have the ability, if you want to schedule live events. And live events are large meetings. They're all hands meetings for like public trainings. And usually registration is not required here. And you can allow external presenters. So we're not going to dive into creating a webinar, a live event here, but I just wanted you to know where those functions live. All right. Last but not least, we're going to take a look at the interface between Outlook and Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams calendar and Microsoft Outlook's calendar are in sync. So whatever you schedule on your Outlook calendar will appear on your Teams calendar, and anything you schedule on your Teams calendar will appear on your Outlook calendar. So let's take a moment to explore that interface and the similarities. So I'm going to go to the home screen, and I'm going to click on Outlook to pull up my Outlook inbox. Then I'm going to move to the calendar in the left rail. And as you can see, it's already brought over my meeting from Teams, okay? And the interface looks pretty similar. So you have the ability to set your day, look at the work week, look at the entire week, month, so on and so forth. Just like your Microsoft Teams calendar, you can actually join meetings right from this calendar. By right-clicking, you can select to join the meetings in Teams, and it will go ahead and open up this meeting in Teams. So if you wanted to, if you were in your Outlook calendar, you can not only schedule meetings from here, you can go ahead and join your meetings from here too. If I go to the top, this is where you have the ability to go ahead and jump into an ad hoc team call. So just clicking on that will go ahead and bring you to the pre-join screen, and you can go, and it's same thing as the interface with Microsoft Teams calendar. So if I click on Teams call, it will open up my Microsoft Teams calendar and take me to the pre-join screen, just like that. All right. So a lot of the interfaces are the same. You can schedule a new event by coming to the top. You can look at your calendar. You can join from here. So there's a lot of similarities between Microsoft Teams and calendar and Outlook. Any questions on any of the content that I went over today before I wrap up by reviewing the agenda?
And currently, no questions in the chat, Jamila.
Okay. Let me go back to the calendar. All right. Let me just see. Something's funky going off my computer. Okay, so let me go back to, I'm going to share my my presentation again. So let me know when you can see it. All right. So
Yes,
today,
we can see
you
it.
see it? Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
today we went over the entire Teams meeting life cycle. So we talked about how to create a meeting, I'm sorry, schedule a meeting, join a meeting, and collaborate in meetings. You should be able to locate your histories for chats and posts and be able to identify where your files are stored, how to create those ad hoc calls and meetings or schedule them if you're required to do that. And we've talked about the call settings and how to make calls. So once you schedule a meeting, you have the ability to manage how permissions for that meeting, both pre-call and during the call as well. So if there aren't any more questions, Brittany, right? And no more questions, just making sure before
Yeah,
I go
no
into the
more
survey.
questions. And I'm going to drop that in there for you.
So Brittany is going to post a survey. If you could just take a moment to please complete the survey. It's very brief, just to rate your experience during today's training and my ability to present information to you. I strive for all 10s, but if you have any other feedback, please utilize the text boxes at the end of the survey to communicate any feedback. I welcome any feedback and your insight. I thank you so much for your time and attention today. And I'll give you back a few minutes of your day, and I'll stick around for a little bit if you have any questions or need me to demonstrate something again. But again, happy holidays to you, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
And Jamila, we didn't have any questions to come in, but we did have a couple of attendees to say thank you and thanks so much for today's session. So
Oh,
kudos to you.
you're so welcome. I hope that even if you're new, you took something away from it. And if you just need to keep practicing, go at it. You can't break anything. Just continue to go in and practice and look at your features because they're going to vary based on whether you're on the desktop web version or mobile version. So just play around with it. And again, thank you so much for your time and attention.